They told me I was the safest experiment they'd ever created, that my body was stable, that I was designed to function as the control variable in a project full of monsters. But the truth is, monsters don't always roar. Sometimes they whisper, from under your skin. It started with the twitching, small at first, a shiver that ran up my thigh every time I sat still for too long. I figured it was muscle fatigue or some neural lag in the synth fiber mesh woven into my legs. Standard stuff. But then came the dreams. In them, I wasn't me. I was watching myself from above, standing in a room that pulsed like it was alive, walls made of scales, air heavy with hissing. My body stood in the center, bare, trembling. And from my chest, something long and black slid out, like a serpent made of shadows and static. It didn't speak, it stared. And I woke up soaked in sweat that smelled like burning ozone. That was 2 weeks ago. Today, something moved, while I was awake. I was walking through Sector 9, headed toward the neural dock where I processed bioscans for visitors. Routine work, nothing classified. I was just a low-tier tech with synthetic muscle support and an average neurorig. That's what they told me. That's what my records said. The moment hit me in the sterilization chamber. The UV lights pulsed above, scanning me for pathogens. I lifted my arms like always, waiting for the green beep. But my right leg, locked. Not froze, locked. Like something inside me refused to move. I looked down and saw it. A bulge, smooth, slender. Moving under the skin of my thigh, just above the knee. I couldn't breathe. I fell against the chamber wall, heart hammering, sweat sliding down my back. My pulse was steady on my comm tab. Vitals, green, neural link, stable. No, I whispered, watching the movement shift lower. This isn't happening. Then I heard the voice. Not through my ears, inside my head, like a whisper slithering through thoughts. You were never empty. You were the vault. I ran. The world outside the dome is dead. Most of the real Earth, the one you grew up reading about, is buried beneath centuries of climate war, acid rain, and radioactive storms. Cities float now, or sink, or hide under domes like the one I live in, Nexara 7. In Nexara, everything's mapped, monitored, scanned. You sneeze, and the grid knows. But there are places under the city, deep beneath the neon and steel, where the old tunnels run cold and dark. Places where surveillance dies. That's where I ran. I took a side lift to the waste corridor, bypassed the lower drones, and crawled through a vent that hadn't been cleaned in decades. At the end was a rusted emergency hatch leading to an ancient metro tunnel. I kicked it open and stumbled inside, choking on dust and silence. That's when she appeared. Rishmish. She didn't knock. She didn't call my name. She just appeared, like she was waiting for me. "It's awake, isn't it?" she said, stepping out from the shadows. She looked older than I remembered. More shadows in her eyes, more steel in her posture. She wore a long coat threaded with kinetic wire, the kind used by freelance hackers and rogue engineers. Her left eye glowed faint red, the mark of an unregistered AI implant. "Rishmish," I said. My voice cracked. "How long have you known?" "Since the day they made you." I stared. They told me I was the control, the baseline, the safe one. She shook her head slowly. "No, Vince. You were the storage unit, the sleeper. They didn't engineer you to be normal. They engineered you to be empty enough to hide what they feared most." She reached into her belt and pulled out a vial of silver fluid. Before I could ask, she jabbed it into the side of my neck. The rush was instant, cold, electric, like nanites crawling into my spine and hacking my nerves. My vision split, past and present overlapped. I saw myself in a tank. I was 10, surrounded by glass and whispering voices. The name Project Ophion echoed like thunder. "What's Ophion?" I gasped. She looked at me, eyes solemn. "A serpent from the old world." but not myth. DNA recovered from deep cryo seal under Arctic ruins. Pre-human. Pre-everything. It wasn't just alive, it was conscious. They couldn't kill it, so they coded it. I swallowed hard. And put it in me? They tried to grow it in vessels, but it devoured them, rejected them. Until you. You weren't built to contain it. You accepted it. Subconsciously. No, I backed away. That's not possible, I'm human. No, Vince, she said. You were born human. But you were rebuilt to be something else. My legs trembled. The movement was back, stronger now, not just crawling, rising. I ripped open my pants leg and saw it, clearly this time, a serpentine shape curling just beneath the skin, shifting, watching me through my own flesh. I screamed. Not from fear, from recognition. The thing inside me felt like me. It's merging, Rishmish whispered. You're awakening. The room spun. My heartbeat turned into static. I collapsed to my knees. That's when I saw the shadow behind her, a tall figure cloaked in obsidian armor, eyes like molten gold. You found him too soon, the figure said, voice robotic. Hollow. Rishmish turned. Stay back, Tharn. He's not ready. He's never going to be ready, Tharn growled. He is the anomaly. He is the breach. He raised his hand. Energy pulsed from his palm like a collapsing star. Rishmish lunged, a flash of light, a scream. I don't remember what happened. Next. When I woke, everything smelled like blood and smoke. I was lying on the floor of a different room, no longer the tunnel. It was a lab, or what was left of it. Machines flickered, walls cracked, a table had been turned over, and Rishmish lay slumped against the far corner, bleeding from her shoulder. You need to run, she coughed. Not again, I said. No, more running. The thing inside me was awake now. I could feel it coiling around my spine. Not with hatred, with purpose. They're coming, she whispered. They'll dissect you, tear your brain apart to reach it. Who are they? She looked up. The ones who made you forget. I stood. I didn't feel weak anymore. I didn't feel like a man hiding from himself. I felt awake. The serpent moved again. This time, not just under my skin, but through my eyes. My fingers sparked with something new. A code. A language I'd never learned but somehow spoke. I'm not just a vault, I said. I'm the lock they couldn't break. And now I'm open. They say memory is like a room you return to. But what if someone burned the room down and left only a door? After the incident in the tunnel, after Tharn's attack and Rishmish bleeding against the wall, I didn't run. Not this time. Something in me had shifted. The old fear was gone, replaced by something sharper, hungrier. The serpent, Ophion, wasn't just a parasite. It was awake, and it knew things I didn't. I stood over Rishmish, trying to slow the bleeding from her shoulder. My fingers, guided by instincts that weren't mine, wove strands of kinetic thread into a living stitch, sealing the wound faster than I'd ever seen. She gasped, looked up, then gave me a strange half-smile. You're syncing with it, she whispered. What does that mean? You're no longer the vessel. You're becoming the interface. We didn't stay in the ruins of the lab. Tharn was gone, but he wouldn't stay gone for long. We moved through the maintenance arteries of Nexara 7's underbelly, staying off-grid. Rishmish moved like a ghost, guiding me with unspoken certainty. I felt it too, like a compass inside my chest was pulling me toward somewhere, some truth. Finally, we reached an abandoned sky shaft, old cargo lift tunnels that hadn't been used since the dome's first construction era. We scaled the rusted vertical chamber using magnetic gloves and latent gravity disruptors. Halfway up, Rishmish looked back at me. Do you know where we're going? No. You've been there before. We reached the top and slipped through a hatch. On the other side was something I hadn't seen since I was a child. The forgotten sector, Sector 0. No one talked about it, Officially, it didn't exist. But every orphan grown in the labs whispered about it in code. The place where prototypes went to vanish, where memories were stolen and rewritten. As soon as I stepped through the glass-cracked corridor, a wave of dizziness hit me. I staggered, my breath caught. Then I saw it. A flash. A boy. Me. Screaming behind a reinforced wall. Surgeons. Tubes. A snake-shaped silhouette in a containment chamber thrashing in silence. Then blackness. Pain. Reboot. I've been here before, I muttered. Rishmish nodded. This is where they erased you? We moved deeper into the facility. Every door we passed triggered more flashes, moments I didn't remember, but my body did, like muscle memory of trauma. Room 7C, Biochamber Omega, Node Chamber. 6, I remembered screaming, but I also remembered a voice, calm and cold. Subject, Vince has exceeded containment tolerance. Initiate suppression protocol. They didn't just build me, they reset me. Over and over again. Why me? I asked aloud. Because the Serpent chose you, Rishmish said. It was dormant for centuries. It woke when it found a compatible host. Not just genetically, but emotionally. You weren't just empty, Vince. You were resilient. You survived where others died. We reached the core room, circular, metallic, filled with decayed monitors and frozen pods. In the center stood an obsidian pillar, cracked open like a broken egg. Inside, an empty chamber shaped like a body. My body. This is where they put it in me, I whispered. No, said a voice from the shadows. This is where you asked for it. We turned. A figure stepped forward. Tall, skin like white porcelain, draped in a robe of neural silk. His eyes were empty sockets, yet I felt them see me. My name is Morlus, he said. I was the director of Project Ophian, and you were never a prisoner here, you volunteered. No, I said. That's impossible. He raised a palm. Light flickered, a memory played in the air, like a hologram woven from raw neurons. There I was, 15, shaking, crying, in that same core room, but not afraid, determined. Do it, I said in the memory. I want to forget, I want to bury it, just make sure it never wakes up. The memory ended. I stepped back, heart hammering. Why would I do that? Because you killed them, Morlus said. Silence fell like ice. What? The other vessels, the early hosts. When the Serpent began merging, your subconscious lashed out. You couldn't control it. You begged us to lock it away. We did, but nothing stays buried forever. I fell to my knees. No, I wouldn't. You didn't mean to, but it happened. You're not just a container, Vince. You are part of the creature now. It's not riding you, it's inside you, it is you. Rishmish pulled me to my feet. We have to go. But Morlus stepped forward. You don't understand. Tharn wasn't trying to kill you. He was trying to kill it. So, he wants to save me? No, he wants to erase both of you. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flashed along the walls. Tharn's voice echoed through the core. Containment breach. Target Vince identified. Eliminate at all costs. They'd found me again. Rishmish pulled out a pulse blade. We fight! I looked at her, felt the heat rising under my skin. The serpent inside me surged, not in fear, but in fury. My hands sparked with light, symbols etched into my skin. My voice trembled, not with weakness, but power. They want a weapon? Look toward the entrance where armored soldiers charged in. I'll show them what they created. I stepped forward. The serpent coiled inside me. Not screaming now, roaring. They said the serpent inside me was ancient, but no one warned me that its rage was mine too. The soldiers swarmed the chamber like locusts, silent, efficient, soulless. Their helmets glowed blue, scanning the heat signatures in the core room. I didn't run this time. Rishmish stood beside me, pulse blade glowing with kinetic energy, her jaw tight, eyes locked onto the nearest target. Me? I just listened. to the hum beneath my skin, to the slow, deep voice that wasn't a voice at all. The serpent, Ophion, was whispering, "You are no longer the cage. You are the fang." My vision sharpened. I could see the soldiers' heartbeats pulsing behind their armor. I could hear the breath of the second man in the third row falter, feel the slight vibration in the air from the drone hovering just above. I raised my hand. It moved without my command. A symbol lit up on my palm, an ancient glyph I'd never seen before but somehow understood. The first wave of soldiers fired, and everything changed. Time didn't slow down. I sped up. I moved between bullets, weaving through streaks of plasma fire like they were drops of rain. My body flowed, bending and striking, not with fists, but with something else. A tail? A coil of light? I couldn't tell. It wasn't about shape anymore. It was instinct. Rishmish watched in awe as the first 3 soldiers dropped before. They even saw me move. The others hesitated, too trained to flee, too human to comprehend. Then came Tharn. He stepped through the breach with no gun. He didn't need one. His body was a weapon, taller than before, armor reinforced, and his right arm, no longer flesh, a silver serpent etched into his skin, pulsing like circuitry. "Vince," he growled, "you don't know what's inside. You?" "I'm starting to," I replied. "You're not special," he snapped. "You're a virus, an anomaly. I was cleaning up the project." "And I'm finishing it," I said. He charged. Our bodies collided with the force of collapsing. Walls, energy arced from our strikes. He was strong, every punch like thunder, but I wasn't weak anymore. The serpent inside me fought back, coiling through my limbs, guiding my reflexes. I dodged, spun, cracked his jaw with a burst of raw kinetic force. He stumbled, and I pressed my palm against his chest. Glyphs flared to life. "Release protocol. Ophion Prime." His eyes widened. Then he screamed, not in pain, in recognition. "You remember," he gasped. "You're not supposed to remember." The memory surged, the first awakening, the chamber of light. Me, surrounded by monitors, Rishmish as a child watching from the glass. And Tharn, back then, just a researcher named Revek Tharn, had activated the lock, pulled the trigger, and said, "If he remembers, we're all dead." But I was remembering. All of it. The serpent's voice returned, clear, calm. "They silenced us. Buried us. But you are evolution unshackled." Tharn fell. I didn't kill him. The serpent could have, but I didn't. I looked at Rishmish. Her eyes shimmered with something close to fear and pride. "You didn't lose yourself," she whispered. "No," I said, "but I'm not who I was." "Then who are you?" I looked at the glyphs burning on my arms, at the world crumbling around us. I'm the proof they tried to erase. We left Sector 0 behind, burned it to ash. Every file, every lock, every cell. We ran through the forgotten access tubes into the upper districts, cloaked in darkness. I no longer needed a map. My body was the compass now. The serpent guided me, not with commands, but instinct, memory, purpose. That's when I felt it, a pulse from beyond Nixara. "There's more of them," I said aloud. Rishmish looked up. "More what?" "Hosts, like me." The serpent wasn't alone. They scattered pieces of its code across the globe, bionodes, memory beacons, fragments. "And they're waking up?" I nodded. "I can feel them. One of them is calling me." "Where?" "Off-grid, outside the domes." Rishmish stiffened. "You mean the wastelands?" I nodded slowly. The awakening protocol was never about me alone. It was about what comes next. She swallowed hard. "If we go out there, there's no coming back." "I'm not going back," I said. "I'm going forward." We hijacked a glide craft, sleek, silent, barely visible to radar, and cut through the dome's shielding at midnight. The stars above weren't like the simulations. They felt raw, distant, free. Rishmish piloted. I stared ahead, hands trembling, not from fear, but from the pull. Something waited in the old ruins beyond the sand, something calling my name. And this time, I wasn't afraid of what I might find. I was afraid of what I might awaken. The sand doesn't forget. It holds on to memories the way scars hold on to pain, quietly, deeply, and forever. We landed the glide craft in the middle of what used to be southern Eurasia, a place once mapped as deserts, now rewritten by war, mutation, and silence. No cities, no skyports. Just burnt earth and dead tech sticking out of dunes like bones from an ancient grave. Rishmish stepped out first, scanning the horizon through her lens band. No visible life, no signal, no energy beacons. She turned to me. So how do you know something's out here? I didn't answer, because I didn't know. I felt it. As I stepped onto the sand, the serpent stirred inside me, not aggressively, not violently. It was like the land itself was familiar to it, like we'd returned to a place from its past. I walked without knowing where I was going. My feet moved with a purpose that wasn't mine. I saw flashes, not memories of mine, but Ophians. Enoi. Ancient tower, a spiral chamber deep beneath the dunes, lightless, forgotten, full of voices in a language I couldn't pronounce. What is this place? I asked aloud. Rishmish followed close behind. A tomb, maybe? I shook my head. No, not a tomb. A seed. It took us 2 hours of walking before we saw the first sign. Half buried in the sand was a black monolith. Perfectly smooth, 12 feet tall, no markings. But when I touched it, it sang, not in sound, but in sensation. I felt warmth, pain, grief, and then recognition. Glyphs sparked under my skin. Symbols pulsed on the monolith's surface in response. Vince, Rishmish whispered, backing away. Something's activating. The monolith shuddered, then sank. The ground split open, and the sand swallowed us whole. We fell for what felt like hours. But we didn't land. We floated, slowed by something invisible. A gravity field? An anti-mass buffer? I couldn't tell. We drifted into a vast chamber lit by bioluminescent strands snaking across the ceiling like glowing vines. The walls were stone, old, cracked, but humming with life. The air was warm. Too warm. This place, Rishmish said, eyes wide. I've seen it, I said. In my dreams. At the far end of the chamber was a pedestal, and on it, a figure. Not alive. Not dead. A woman, or something that once was. Her skin was scaled, faintly golden, eyes closed, chest still. Coils of synthetic tubing wrapped around her limbs like ceremonial bindings. Her hair floated slightly, suspended in the field, around her body. Host Alpha, I heard myself whisper. You know her? No, I said. Ophian does. I stepped forward. As I did, her eyes snapped open. They were pitch black, like the void between stars. She didn't speak with her mouth. Her voice was pure presence echoing inside my skull. You arrived late. Who are you? I asked. The first interface, the one who chose to sleep instead of burn. You're like me? No, you are beyond me. I failed to merge, fully. You succeeded. That's why the others are waking. Others? She blinked slowly. 13 hosts, scattered across the earth, all carrying fragments, all dangerous. You are the convergence, the key. What am I supposed to do? Unite them, or destroy them? Rishmish stepped forward. Why would he destroy them? The host Alpha finally moved, her voice sharpened. Because not. All hosts want to merge. Some want to dominate. The fragments aren't loyal to each other. They remember war. That's when the chamber shook. The host Alpha looked toward the ceiling. Her voice turned grim. They followed you. Above us, the sand split open again, and soldiers descended in free-fall suits, weapons raised. Behind them came a monstrous figure, Tharn, rebuilt. His body fused with dark tech, tendrils of living metal slithering along his spine. His eyes burned crimson. You led me straight to her. He laughed. He wasn't alone. Behind him, another. Host, male, young, eyes completely silver. I felt him before I saw him. He was like me, but wrong, twisted. The serpent inside me recoiled. That one is corrupted. Tharn raised a hand. Take them alive, except Vince. Kill him. I want his death to trigger the next evolution. Rishmish drew her blade. I didn't need mine. Was the weapon now. The host Alpha stood, breaking her restraints with ease. I will hold the chamber, she said. You must run. I'm not leaving you. You will, she said sharply. Because if they capture you, they'll awaken, the others before their time, and Earth will burn. Rishmish grabbed my arm. We have to go, Vince. Now. We ran through the side corridor as the chamber erupted in screams, energy bursts, and chaos. The walls cracked. The sand collapsed. But ahead, a tunnel opened. A McRail track from a lost era. The host's voice echoed one last time in my mind. Unite or destroy. As the door slammed shut behind us, I fell to my knees. Rishmish pulled me up. We're not done yet, she said. No, I whispered. This is just the beginning. We didn't stop running until the tunnel went dark, not from power loss, but from fear. I could feel it even in the walls, like the ancient tech itself was recoiling from what we had just escaped. The host Alpha, trapped in combat. Tharn, evolved, and monstrous. And that boy, the corrupted one, whose presence made the serpent inside me twist and shudder. We followed the tunnel deeper, guided by instinct and whispers in the dark. Rishmish lit her path with a pulse thread, weaving strands of light into the air. I didn't need it. The serpent guided me now, but something felt off, unstable, like I was no longer carrying it, but becoming it. How many more like me are there? I asked, my voice echoing through the tunnel. Rishmish didn't answer right away. Then she said, 12. 13, including you. That was the number of viable fragments they successfully sealed into human hosts. Scattered across the domes, labs, and wastelands, some were monitored, others lost. And the corrupted one? She swallowed. Number 7. Codenamed Iraq. Failed merge. His mind didn't adapt. He lost himself. Then why is he still alive? Because he's not in control. The fragment inside him is. We reached a hidden platform deep underground. A forgotten outpost, with a manual rail car, powered by kinetic motion, ancient tech, no trackers. We climbed aboard. Rishmish activated the magnetic engine, and the car shot forward on rusted rails. Wind rushed past. My mind didn't rest. If Iraq's fragment is leading Tharn, I said, then the corruption is spreading. Rishmish nodded grimly. And if they reach the others before we do, they'll form a serpent that doesn't think, doesn't feel, just devours. I closed my eyes. The serpent inside me stirred again. You are not the first to carry me, but you may be the last who chooses. What do I choose? I asked quietly. To unify us, or to erase what remains? Saw flashes, other hosts. One in the Arctic, buried in frost, another floating in a cryotank in orbit, one hidden in the jungle, guarded by drones long forgotten, each of them pulsing with a fragment of something once whole. Each of them dangerous, each of them waiting for me. The rail car screeched to a halt. We'd arrived at a surface breach, an old service port to Dome Halvaris, long sealed off due to biocontamination. Beyond it, a host. One I hadn't seen, but when the serpent recognized. Who's here? Rishmish asked. A healer, I whispered. But not anymore. We entered the port. What we found inside was worse than any nightmare I'd imagined. The entire dome was overgrown, not with plants, but flesh. Veins of artificial muscle, glowing with red light, wrapped around buildings like vines. The sky was black. No sun reached here, no birds, no airflow, just silence. And breathing. Yes. The dome breathed, as if it was alive, and in the center of it all was her. Host 3. Once named Elira. She floated above the central plaza, suspended by a living cocoon of her own mutated tissue. Her eyes were sewn shut by strands of genetic code. Her mouth moved constantly, whispering prayers in a language no human spoke. She merged completely, Rishmish said. Too deeply. No separation between host and fragment. She doesn't even know we're here. I stepped forward, and immediately her head turned toward me. Chosen One, she whispered. The voice wasn't hers. It was like a choir of snakes speaking through her throat. You carry the central core, the spine, the pulse. Come closer. Let us complete the circle. Rishmish stepped between us, blade drawn. Vince, she'll absorb you if you get too close. I nodded, but I couldn't move, because the serpent inside me wanted to go. Not out of loyalty, out of hunger. Then a sharp scream cut through the air. From the shadows, Arak emerged. Still childlike in form, but his body was stretched, twisted, bones out of proportion, eyes glowing like beacons of static. He moved without touching the ground. Behind him, more soldiers, no longer human. Their skin was gray, their mouths sealed shut by wires. Found you, Arak giggled. Tag, you're it. He raised his hand, and Elira screamed. The cocoon tore, flesh unraveled. Her voice turned to static, and I felt it. He was pulling the fragment out of her to add it to himself. He's consuming the hosts, Rishmish gasped. No, I said. He's trying to become the entire serpent alone. I couldn't let that happen. I stepped forward and screamed, not from rage but from command. Glyphs burned around me in the air. Ophian Core Protocol, Fragment Rejection Sequence, Engage, Light. Burst from my chest. A symbol, like a burning serpent eating its own tail, flashed into the sky. Arak shrieked. Elira's body dissolved into dust, but the fragment inside her fled toward me. Not to fight, to join. Rishmish turned to me, horrified. You're absorbing them? I have no choice. You do, she shouted. You're not meant to carry them all. But if I don't, I whispered, Arak will. The fragment entered me, and I screamed. My body arched, my mind split. I saw fire, flood, cities eaten by light. I saw Earth itself cracking open. I saw the true Ophian, its original form, coiled around the planet like a god of extinction. And then I returned, not broken, but changed. Stronger, heavier, older. Arak fled, his body sparking, unstable. He howled as he vanished into a breach tunnel, but not before whispering, I'll eat them all before you reach them. We stood in silence for a while. Rishmish looked at me differently now, not with fear, but with grief. You're losing yourself. I know, I said, but if I don't take them in, the world loses everything. She touched my chest. Then let's find the rest, before he does. We're not done yet, she said. No, I whispered. This is just the beginning. Silence doesn't exist in the frozen north. It deceives you with stillness, but under the surface, everything is cracking. After absorbing Elira's fragment, the serpent inside me grew louder, deeper, more aware. Every breath I took now echoed with ancient instincts. Every heartbeat pulsed with something older than blood. We flew north on a repurposed storm glider, high above the toxic clouds that covered the Earth's scarred surface. Below, the last of the great ice shields glittered beneath layers of dead satellites. Dome Halvaris faded into the background. Ahead of us was Crinspire, A cryogenic facility lost in the second collapse, supposedly buried beneath glaciers. But we knew better. There was a host here, and Iraq was coming. Rishmish didn't speak much during the flight. She sat near the starboard wing, recalibrating her plasma coil in silence. But her eyes kept drifting to me, hesitant, haunted. "I'm still me," I finally said. "No, you're not," she replied, not unkindly. "You're becoming something, and I don't know if I can follow." "You're not supposed to follow me," I said. "You're supposed to remind me of who I was." She stared at me for a moment. "And if you forget?" "Then stop me," I said. "Even if you have to." Kill me, Crinspire wasn't hidden. It was waiting. The moment our boots touched down on the icy surface, a wave of energy scanned us. Then a circular hatch opened from beneath the glacier, revealing a spiraling corridor of frozen steel. Inside, everything was preserved in ghostly stasis, metallic bones of machines, old biometric keys still dangling from skeletons in lab coats, and cryochambers lining the walls like coffins. And then we saw her, Host 11, frozen, but alive. She floated inside a vertical cryopod, encased in blue fluid. Her skin was pale silver, her hair braided with fiber optic strands, and her eyes, closed but twitching beneath the lids, flashed with lightning under the surface. The serpent inside me recoiled, not out of fear, out of reverence. "She is the memory keeper." "Her name is Traven," I whispered. "She wasn't a fighter, she was a record. A host designed to hold the serpent's history?" Rishmish asked. I nodded. "She knows everything. Every host, every merge, every war. We didn't have to activate her. She woke on her own. Her eyes opened, cold, ancient, calculated. She didn't look at us. She looked through us. You carry 2 fragments, she said. You are out of balance." I nodded. "And Iraq is trying to take the rest." "Then time is ending faster than we feared," she replied, stepping from her chamber. "The full serpent cannot rise. It is not a god. It is a storm with no heart." "Then help me stop it." She placed her hand over my chest. "I will give you what you need, but not without cost." Her palm pulsed. My brain screamed. I fell into her memory. 1,000 lifetimes rushed into my skull. I saw the origin of Ophion, an alien genetic entity born from a collapsed dimension, engineered to preserve the consciousness of a dying race. The fragments weren't scattered by accident. They were deliberately distributed to prevent anyone being from possessing the full mind. Each host was given a piece: emotion, instinct, memory, pain, rage, clarity, decay, rebirth. No one could bear it all. But now, 2 beings were trying, me and Iraq. But only one of us could survive the merge. I snapped back into the present, gasping. Traven collapsed beside me, her body flickering with unstable energy. "You took too much," Rishmish said, lifting her up. "She gave it," I whispered. "Now I know where the final fragments are." "Where?" 2 underground, 1 in orbit, 1 inside someone we already know. Rishmish frowned. "Who?" "Tharn." Before we could process, the chamber lit red. A siren howled, and Iraq's voice echoed through the cryo lab. "Found you again, brother." This time, he didn't come alone. He brought another host, one from the orbital station, but it wasn't conscious. He wore her like a skin. A puppet. The horror made the serpent inside me shriek. "You're absorbing them while they sleep?" I yelled. "I'm liberating them," he grinned. "They weren't using it." "I am. I am the new serpent." "No," I growled. "You're a virus wearing a crown." He lunged. I pushed Traven behind me, raised my hands. I didn't need to speak the language of the fragments anymore. I was the language. A halo of glyphs erupted around me. Light burned. The cryolab shattered. The serpent rose, not to devour, to defend. We fought like falling stars. His body lashed with stolen power. Mine surged with inherited memory. We were brothers not by blood, but by burden. He screamed. I roared. He vanished. Into the snow, wounded, howling. This time he ran. I collapsed beside Traven. She looked at me with dying eyes. Find the last one, she whispered. Before he does. I will. She smiled, then dissolved into light. We left the ruins behind. Only 2 hosts remained, and the final one was inside Tharn. Some things aren't meant to be whole. That was the thought echoing in my mind as we crossed into the orbital lift. The earth below us burned in slow pulses, shattered cities, broken domes, mutant clouds swirling with remnants of war and science. But far above it, floating in the void, was the final key. Tharn, and inside him, the last shard of the Serpent. I wasn't the same Vince anymore. Not the lab-grown anomaly, not the glitch. I carried 3 fragments: instinct, memory, clarity, and they pulled at me like stars tugging on time. Every step I took forward felt heavier than the last.
Like gravity had shifted just for me, Rishmish noticed. You're slower, she said. I'm holding more than I should, I replied. Then stop. I can't, I said. If I stop, Iraq wins, and so does Tharn. We docked with Station.
Astra, the old atmospheric archive turned rogue lab. It orbited on decaying fuel, its halls creaking with every solar breath. The moment we stepped inside, I felt it. The final piece. It was awake, waiting. We passed through the rusted quarantine wing, down past zero-grav corridors, through crumbled memory vaults lined with shattered cryospheres. Data fragments drifted like snowflakes around us. Holograms flickered. Screaming scientists, corrupted files, bleeding experiments. And then we found him. Tharn. He stood in a circular chamber, glowing from the inside. His armor was gone. His skin cracked like ancient stone, and his veins pulsed with molten gold. Behind him floated the final fragment, orbiting his heart like a satellite of darkness. He smiled when he saw me. Did you come to save me, Vince? He asked, voice calm. Or to become me? I came to stop you, I said. You can't, he replied, because this serpent wasn't made to serve. It was made to win. He stepped forward. I offered them salvation, he said. The world was broken. The serpent was perfect. So I let it in. No, I said. You let it replace you. He moved faster than thought, but so did I. We clashed in the center of the chamber, serpent against serpent. Not just fists, not just light, purpose. His power surged with command, mine with memory. He struck, channeling rage and domination. I struck back, with understanding. The chamber shattered. In the heart of the explosion, time folded. We stood inside Ophion's mind, a desert of stars. A sea of echoes, and in front of us floated the last shard. Who will become the whole? It asked. Tharn reached for it. So did I. But Rishmish's voice cut through. Vince, if you take it, you'll disappear. I know. You'll become the serpent. I already am, I said, but I'll decide what that means. I took the shard. Light consumed everything. My mind split, stretched, collapsed, then bloomed. I saw everything. Every version of Earth. Every failure. Every host who died screaming. Every memory. Every instinct. Every whisper. And then I brought it back together, but not as a god, as a man. I opened my eyes. Rishmish stood above me, tears in her eyes. Vince? I looked at my hands. Still flesh, still scarred, still mine. I'm here, I whispered. And him? I looked around. Tharn was gone, but not erased, absorbed, balanced, redeemed. We returned to Earth. No parades, no heroes, no answers, just sky and silence. But the serpent inside me slept now, not in fear and trust, because I chose not to dominate. I chose to remember.